Hello, so this is my video of lumbar spine examinations. So the lumbar spinal examination, it involves looking at inspections, palpations, and checking for some functional movements, and doing neurological examinations, and finally doing some special tests at the end. So I'm Dr. Sase, nice to see you, Nick. So first of all, what I'm going to be looking at the inspection, so from the front, I'm looking for any asymmetry, looking at the shoulder heights, muscle bulks, and if you now turn to the left side, that's great. And what we're now looking at is the cervical and lumbar lordosis and thoracic kyphosis, and also if there's any pelvic rotations. Okay, so if you could just turn to your back now, so we can have a look at your back. So if you just expose your back a little bit, if you don't mind. So what we're looking at is first of all any scoliosis, any asymmetries, so looking at the muscle bulks on both sides, looking at the height of this scapula, and also looking at any height discrepancy of the superior iliac spines, and looking at the trochanterus and muscle bulks of the hamstrings. Okay, that's fantastic. That's great. So next bit is looking at the functional movements. So what I'd like you to do, Nick, is if you walk on your heels for me, and that's really predominantly looking at the function of the L4, L5, and turn around. If you could just walk on your tiptoes now, that's great. That's looking at the function of the S1, S2 nerves. That's fantastic. That looks normal. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now, Nick, is if you could just turn to the side now. That's great. And if I could just have a look at your back a little bit more, that's great. So what I'm looking at is checking the range of movements. So Nick, if you could just bend down as far as you can, and actually Nick had recently had a motorcycle accident, and he can't bend as much, so there's a restriction in terms of flexion of the lumbar spines, and you can see majority of the flexion is coming from the cervical spine, the thoracic spine, not very much from the lumbar spines. Okay, if you could just up a little bit, that's great. And next one, if you could just slide your right hand over the right leg as far as you can, so as far as it goes. Okay, and now to the other side. So there's slight restriction probably to both sides. Okay, that's great. And if you could now arch your back as far as you can, and that's really stressing the spinal canal. And so as far as it goes. Yep. Yeah. Do you get any pain at all?
Yeah.
So there is some pain there. Okay, so what I would like you to do is stretch the spinal canal even more. So if you could just, as you do that, if you could rotate to the left side. How's the pain now?
Slightly better.
Slightly better. And turn to the other side.
I can feel it again.
You can feel it again. Okay, so the right lateral rotation is more worse. Okay. So what I want you to do now is, if you could just stand on your right leg for me, and we're looking at Trendelenburg test and looking for any hip sug onto one side, and there isn't one in this case. Okay, what I want you to do now is, as you stand on your right leg, I want you to squat. That's great. And squat up, and that's really looking at the strength of the quadriceps. Okay, and if you could stand on your right leg still, and if you could arch backward, and this is called slump. Okay, and any pain at all in your back?
A little bit.
Okay, so if there's a pain, it may. Okay, that's fine. You can take it back now. If there's any pain going down to the leg, it may be suggestive of a sacroiliitis, and if it pains localized to the back, sometimes in a young patient, it may be suggestive of pars articularis fracture. Okay, so do the same thing on the other side now. So if you could stand on your left leg, okay, that's great. No hip, pelvic tilt. And if you could just squat on that leg, that's great. And up, quadricep function, the core muscle seems good. And if you could just arch your back backward now. Okay, that's great. Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, so the next bit is looking now the palpations. So if you could just lie on your neck on the front side for me. That's great. So now I'm just going to expose yourself a little bit. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to feel first of all for the lumbar spine. So I'm going to start with around where the superior spine is, which is about L4. And if I'm going to be feeling for a spine, each spinal processes. Any tenderness there?
Yeah.
Yeah, where about around there is it?
Yeah.
That's about L1. Okay, and I'm going to be feeling for paraspinal tenderness from again starting for L4 and move the way up. Any pain there?
No.
No. Okay, and the next bit I'm going to feel is PISP. Okay, and I'm also feeling at sacroiliac area and the trochanter on the side, and I just travel from sacroiliac area down to the feeling for piriformis. Any pain there?
No.
And finally feeling for ischial tuberosity. Any pain there?
No.
Okay, that's great. Okay, Nick, if you could just turn around to your front now. In fact, if you could just sit up, that'd be great. So next part is checking for neurological examination of the legs. Starting with the sensation first. So Nick, if you could close your eyes, and this is how it's going to feel. When you can feel me touching, I want you to say yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so starting with anterior thighs.
Yes.
That's L3.
Yes. Yes.
That's L4.
Yes. Yes.
That's S1.
Yes. Yes.
That's L5 there, that's middle toe. Okay, so the sensation is intact, you can open your eyes now. And next part is checking for the power. So what I want you to do is I want you to lift your legs up. Okay, hip flexion is good. The other side, hip flexion, that's fantastic. Push down against my hands, that's great. And again, the hip flexions are good. Flexion extension first and then flexion. And the next one is just push against my hands. Okay, pull against my hands. So the knee extension is L3, L4, and knee flexion is S1. If you could push against my hands and pull against my hands, that's great. And if you could just dorsiflex, so if you could just push your foot up against my hands, that's fantastic. That's L4, L5, same on the other side. That's great, push down against my hands, that's great, that's S1, S2. And if you could cock your toe up, just big toe, and keep it there for me. Don't even push it down. And that's L5, S1. That's great. And the next part is looking at the reflex. So got a knee jerk. So I'm just gonna tap on your knees and let me know if I'm hurting you anyway. Just relax as much as you can. This is gonna be L3, L4, and I can feel the reflex there. That's great. Okay, and normally I would have a tendon hammer, but I don't have it with me, so just imagine that I do. Okay, and next part is just relax your leg for me, and this is ankle reflex. And again, I can see the calf contracting, and this will be S1, S2. Okay, that's a normal reflex there. And then finally, I'm just checking for clonus, any more upper motor neuron lesions. And more than 5 beats is abnormal. Just relax. No pain in the ankle at all? Okay, good. Okay, there's no clonus. Okay, that's fantastic. And finally, I'm just checking for Babinski. And I'm just going to scratch your legs. I normally have a key, which I do actually. Okay, so I'm just going to scratch your feet. It's going to be a bit uncomfortable. That's great, that's down going. Same on the other side. That's great, that's down going. So if abnormal Babinski or abnormal clonus, which is just upper motor neural lesion, and you'll be looking for things like cervical or thoracic spine pathology there. Okay, and next bit is a more specialized test. So first of all, it's a straight leg test. So Nick, if you could just lie down on your back. And the positive sign, which is a sciatica. So I'm just going to lift up your right leg in there. Okay. Let me know if I'm hurting you anyway. It's got a fairly tight hamstring there. And if there is a pain going down below your knees, you may say it's sciatica. So what I would normally do is I'll lower down the legs and dorsiflect the ankle to see if I can reproduce the symptoms. If it does, it's most likely suggestive sciatica. And I will do the same on the other side. Okay, that's as far as it goes. And I'll dorsiflex the legs. Okay, that's great. Okay, so the next part is Faber's test, and positive Faber's test would be indicative of either hip pathology or sacroiliac joint pathology. So what I want you to do is I want to externally rotate the hip, and I'm just going to stabilize the pelvis, and I'm going to apply the pressure over the knees, and let me know if I'm hurting you. Is that alright?
Yep.
Okay, there's no pain there. So it probably isn't a hip or sacroiliac pathology. Okay, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. Any pain there?
No.
Okay, that's great. And finally, if you could just turn towards your front. And next one is called femoral nerve stretch test. So the positive test, would, you would get a pain in anterior thighs. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bend your knees, and I'm just going to lift up the legs. And does that cause any pain at all?
No.
No. Same on the other side. Does that cause any pain at all?
No.
That's great. Okay. So she has a negative femoral stretch test. Okay. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you.